Hi, and welcome to today's video where I'm going to go over my top lane prospects right now in the four major regions, and then the top minor region top laners that are under the age of 22. All these players, obviously 21 and younger, are in a team, are on a team that has stats to look at, right? I don't watch minor regions. I don't watch academy players. This is 100% stats based. So if a player is playing in solo queue and is looking very good, they're not on here because I'm not tracking every individual that plays solo queue and somehow know all their ages. That doesn't make any sense. So you can't read most of these numbers. There's a lot of numbers on the board. For reference, age is coming from Leaguepedia, and then the stats for KDA, CS per minute, KP, so kill participation, damage per minute, damage share, gold difference at 15 minutes, CSD at 15 minutes, XPD at 15 minutes, solo kills, and champions played are all found from Games of Legends. Just one second. I gotta make sure this is something popped up on my screen. I just want to make sure that my stuff's still working the way it's supposed to. It looks like it is. So that's the deal. There are a lot of numbers. I'm just going to go over like the top players in each number, I guess, and go over what I look for, I guess, when I'm looking at these players from a stat standpoint. In the LCK, I have Clear from DRX. He's 20 years old. Thanatos, 18 from D plus Kia. Lancer and Illima. Lancer is 18. Illima is 20. Both are from the Kwangdong Freaks Academy. Well, not actually, these are all Challenger Players Academy. In the LCK is actually the third tier of Korean League of Legends, and the stats aren't as easily accessible. KDA wise, Clear had the best at 4.6. Obviously, we like a high KDA. We don't want players that die a lot. But at the same time, you also have to keep in mind when you look at other numbers, KDA, like if someone's very passive, don't have a lot of damage, don't have a lot of KP, have a nice KDA, they're obviously a KDA player. But Clear, a 4.6 KDA, Thanatos 4.2, both of them 8.8 and 8.7 CS per minute. That's incredible. Obviously at a lower level of play, but those are two notable players, I think, that, deserve a little bit of a longer look. 56.2 KP, 52.3 KP. So more often than not, they're in fights. More split push oriented. You see Illima is at 61%. So he is in 3 out of every 5 kills instead of half of them, which is at the higher end of things. Damage per minute. Now this is where we get the deal, right? KDA players. Clear and Thanatos under 500 damage per minute. Whereas Lancer and Illima for the Freaks, 615 and 565 respectively, dealing 27% of their team's damage instead of Clear, who's dealing 20%. So Clear, more split push oriented, more on his own, not as involved, doesn't die a lot because of it, but is getting a lot of farms. So we're trying to make sense of all these numbers to try and figure out what type of player they are without actually watching them. Obviously, the share numbers also play a role in how good the team is. If they're not the carry, they're not the carry. Gold share, anywhere between 21, there's 20.1 for Lancer, which tells me that somebody's taking up a lot of gold. There are a lot of people farming on that team. For 8.4 CS per minute to be 20.1 is actually pretty surprising. All 4 of these players at 15 minutes are ahead. Thanatos and Clear, 8 and 7 respectively in CSD, and almost 400 gold each. That's a component. 240 XP. Solo kills. Thanatos has 18 solo kills in 38 games. Has played 10 champions. Clear has 13 solo kills in 36 games. Also has played 10 champions. As far as Lancer and Illima are concerned, both have played 7 champions. Illima in 14 games, Lancer in 21. Obviously, like I said, splitting time with the Freaks. Illima I've seen for a while. The reason why I put them on here is because last year their numbers were actually much better than this. So the Freaks obviously playing around with their roster, putting in Lancer now, who is dying a lot at 1.3 KDA. But at 18 years old, those mistakes are going to happen, right? We have to look at this. that's why age is important too. Like there is growth to be had there. I believe that a player is getting better and better up until like 22, 23 years old. Then you kind of got what you got hands wise, and now experience has to come in. Excuse me, where you can make up for matchups over the next couple of years because you know the matchups you've played for a few years now. So as far as LCK is concerned, I think Clear and Thanatos are very good players. Ilima having a rough year. If he can turn it around, maybe in summer, he's a player to look at, I guess. If you're a Western team, I think. Faisal and Sniper in LCS, so North America. Faisal, age is unknown, plays for Cincinnati Fear. I think they played for EG before, if I recall. Sniper, right now dealing with some stuff, I guess, health problems or something like that. Went away from 100 Thieves, but at 16 years old, this kid's been a prodigy for a few years now. Both decent KDAs, 3.6 and 3. Faisal, 8.6 CS per minute is very good. 50 KP. Sniper's KP is 42.5, very low. Very, very low, actually. Like, you seldom see a low 40s KP. That is very split push on his own, on an island oriented. And the way I think about that is a player of Sniper's ability, he has to be winning that matchup hard, I think, because to be a player that good and to put them on an island so they don't affect the rest of the game, they have to affect the game in that 1v1 to the point where they have to bring a second person to offset it, right, to make up for the diff. If you are against a player that's worse than you, because I think Sniper is very good, and you are not, taking advantage of that, that's like a lost situation. It's something you got to really think about, in my opinion. DPM 540, 490. Damage share both under 23%. Gold share Faisal nearly 23%, which is the highest so far. However, Sniper's usually down at 15 minutes, which maybe dying in the early laning phase, maybe laning straight up, not great. Faisal up nearly 500 gold, 200 XP, has 15 solo kills in 31 games, has played 12 champions. Sniper has 18 solo kills in 28 games, 11 champions played. Sniper, I think, is a really, really, he's a big-time talent, as is Faisal. Europe, Melanik is somebody I mentioned last year, if I recall. Oscarinen, we see getting promoted now, but I've been talking about him. And Carlson, another top laner from EU that I think is very good. All three players, honestly, I think should be getting a long look right now and into summer if you are an LCS LEC team, because they have a lot of value. Like Melanik's 20, Oscarin's 19, but Carlson's only 17. There's a lot of growth. So Melanik for Solari in the LFL. Lowest KDA at 2.5. Carlson has the best at 4. But as far as CS per minute go, all three of them very good. 8.9 for Melanik. Oscarinen 9.3, which is incredible. It is the highest on the board. 8.8 for Carlson. As far as KP is concerned, all above 50. Oscarinen 57.6%. So he is fighting more than most of the top laners on the board, in the upper portion of the top laners on the board, and is out farming in his region, relative to his region, anybody on this board. Oscarinen has 720 damage per minute, which is the most on this board by a large margin. I think the next highest is like 100 less. Melanik, 31.7% of his team's damage with 620 damage per minute. That's like a carry. Melanik, Oscarinen, both are carry top laners based on their damage profiles and their farming. So when I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, what players have the potential to take the next step and actually like show up? I think that these players like statistically can. And obviously when you make a board like this and you find the players that you like, then you say to yourself, okay, let's look and see what the eye test says based on what these stats say. Obviously these players are doing very well in some aspect. Like 24% gold share is incredible, which also is a thing that you have to think about too. That's why the champion pool thing is on here, because how meta dependent are they? Are they one dimensional? Are they only carry oriented? You look at Sisgenda this past year. Sisgenda's numbers were incredible last year, but he only played a few champions a lot, and now he had to play Nar and Ornn and Kesante, which obviously doesn't apply last year, but he wasn't, those champions in his pool couldn't hold up, right? And you hope that everybody has a little bit in each box, right? You have some carries, you have some facilitators, you have some tanks, you have some more supportive-esque champions, if you will, that probably fall into tank or facilitator. Like, you have to have options, AP, AD in each. As far as gold at 15 minutes, Oscarinin on average was up 640 gold, 21 CS, 120 XP. Melanik 300 XP. Melanik had 11 solo kills in 15 games. Mind you, this is being recorded March 8th. When you see this video, more games may have taken place. So just, I should actually, to the start of the video with that, but we're too late now. Melanik, 11 solo kills, 15 games. Oscarinin, 9 and 16. Carlson, 7 and 15. I really think all three of those players deserve a long look. Obviously, Oscarinin is getting his chance. I think Melanik should be at the top of people's lists. And I think Carlson should be on that short list for a lot of people as well. I think he was on Astralis' team. Now he's on Mouse. But I think he was on Astralis' academy team last year, or ERL or whatever. And I bet they wish they still had him. LDL, a little more difficult because the LDL, not as many stats. China obviously doesn't give us as many stats. And I know there are a ton of players, and they just started. They only started like last week, so there's only 15 games for each player to go over. Aspire at 19 years old is playing for top. This is supposed to say we for a decade. But Aspire and Decade, both are young players that I believe I may have even made note of last year. I know I did of Decade. Aspire 3-2 KDA, 8-6 CS per minute. Decade, not as good as he was last year, but Team Wii, not as good as Weibo, Weibo's LDL team last year. KP's both solid at 55%. We're looking at a 500 damage per minute for Decade, which is very good. 396 for Aspire, very low. It's actually the lowest on this board. So not very, not a big damage dealer. He's not aggressive when it comes to inflicting his will on the opposition. Gold share is pretty normal. 9 champions in 15 games for Aspire, 8 and 15 for Decade. 2 players. I think Decade deserves an LPL opportunity. Don't know his age. Now, after that, we have 6 more players that are minor region players. So Driver is 20 years old, playing for Impunity in the PCS. And then we have Solo Kill at 21, playing in the PCS for Frank. Laikai plays for Beyond Gaming, and he's 20 years old. So we're going to look at those 3 players in a vacuum real fast because they're all playing for the same region. Laikai and Solo Kill both have KDAs above 4, which is very good. Driver, 8.6 CS per minute. Solo Kill, 8.4. As far as KP is concerned, Laikai leads the way at 60%. Damage per minute, Driver, 625. That's the second highest on the board. It's third highest on the board. Very good player. I think deserves, J-Team let him go. And I'm sure they regret that decision. Damage share, Driver 26%, Solo Kill and Laikai 22 and 20%, definitely more third tier damage dealers, especially in the case of Laikai. At 15 minutes, Drivers are pretty much a wash. Solo Kill's up 600 gold on average, 9 CS and 250 XP. So Solo Kill's doing well. We did even say last year Solo Kill should be on an LPL team. EDG I think screwed him kind of and sent him to the PCS, and it's unfortunate. Solo Kill, 11 solo kills in 15 minutes. 15 games. 8 champions played. Driver, 5 and 15. Laikai, 4 and 15. So Solo Kill, a little more aggressive than Driver and Laikai when it comes to that. 2 players in Latin America. We have Zothbe. We're going to go Zothbe. And Bong. So Bong is 21 years old. They are a KR import, so Korean import, playing for Rainbow 7. They dominated Turkey last year. Exceptional player that is now in Latin America. Zothbe now on all nights. Um, Zothbe's numbers aren't great across the entire thing. I mean, KDA is below 2. Bong's is 3.5, which is good, 8.2 CS per minute. Both KPs definitely more solo lane oriented. 500 damage per minute for Bong, 21.5 damage share. Both of these players around 22-21%, so we're in the more third tier sort of damage dealer, which makes sense. When we look at top laners, more often than not, they're the third tier, right? Our carries are usually 80 carry, obviously, and the mid laner. You know, you see some teams that can branch out, and usually they are very good, that branch out to the top lane. The top lane has carry threat, but not everybody has that. On average, Bong's up 350 gold, 6 CS, 375 XP, 5 solo kills in 15 games, played 8 champions. Zothbe, 9 champions, 16 games. I would say Bong is a player to keep an eye on because they did so well last year in Turkey. It might be one of those players that, you know, circles back to the LCK, honestly. You know, Rascal got his start in Japan. Duck Dom got his start in Latin America. Fate in Turkey. It happens often. And then Enper's age is unknown. Last year they had 44 solo kills in summer, which was the most in the world, in Vietnam and then the world. Plays for STBC Esports now. Definitely the player on this board, probably outside of Thanatos and maybe Melanik and Oscar. He's in that group. Like, the fact that this guy or kid, age is unknown, does not have an opportunity to get to the LPL is outstanding to me. I mean, not outstanding, but absolutely mind-boggling. He's a very good player on paper. 9 CS per minute, 47.6 KP, which is below 50, so more often than not, he's on his own. But if he's getting solo kills, like I was saying earlier about Sniper, if you're dominating that matchup, requiring other people to come over to offset it, now you're really doing something. When someone's on an island and they're 1v1 and they aren't winning that matchup and they're against a player that you would think are worse than them, like, you know, I think about this. We were talking about Ale in the Discord, and that's when this came up. But let's say if Ale is going into ZDZ, right? I'm not a big ZDZ fan, so let's just start with that. If Ale is putting ZDZ on an island, if EDG say, we're going to force them to keep ZDZ over there. Oh, great, 4v4. And ZDZ doesn't, like, lose that matchup. Like, say Ale doesn't solo kill him. Ale is up, what? Let's say 5 to 10 CS. That is a waste of time. You have hurt your team because you have taken Ale, who is one of your better players, and you've put them on an island to take away ZDZ. And let's just say, unless he gets to the point where he can actually force the other team to offset him, it's not going to make a difference. So, you know, it's an interesting conundrum, and obviously you got to think about it as a, you know, if you're looking at the game, like, is that worth it? Is it not? I mean, if it's a wash, no. If ZDZ's on an island, at that point, anyone's legend, I think, is winning that exchange because they're like, we took Ale out of it. Ale cannot, like, say Ale's on Jax and ZDZ's on Fiora or something. I don't know. Like, just, like, on paper, that matchup should be going one way, and if it's not, then there's a problem. Enper, 630 DPM, which is second on this board. 28% damage share, which is very high. Tied for second on the board. He's a big-time damage dealer. Especially when you take into account he's not getting into half the kills and he's dealing that much damage relative to his team. 22.8 damage share. On average is even at 15 minutes. Only 3 solo kills in 7 games thus far. Definitely not at the pace he was last year. He's only on pace for what? 20 and 40 games or however many he ends up playing. So, you know, this was an interesting video series I figured I would do in prep for my week off. So, not week off, but a week where I can't record videos and where I'm doing audio only content if I can. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Obviously, it's more rambly. There are a lot of numbers on here you cannot see. I understand that. That's why I said Games of Legend is all these stats, and the age is from Leaguepedia. You can look at these yourself. I mentioned all the players' names on here, what teams they're on. But these are the players that I'm looking at right now and saying these are the guys down the stretch here that I think teams should be looking at, to improve for summer. These are the ones. So, excuse me. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube member, and thank you for watching.